Okay, so for the basic styles, the first thing is I just want to reset some stuff. So I'm going to say box sizing for everything is going to be border box. All right, I always do that just to start. And then for the body, I want to declare some stuff. I don't want any margin, so that's everything here is going to get moved right to the corner. Perfect. Next thing is I want to set it to display flex. After that, I want to justify, because I want my slideshow to be in the middle. So justify content in the center. There you go. And align it in the center. So align items, center. And finally, I want my body to have a height of 100 view height. And if I give it a background, you're going to see that it's the entire viewport. Pink, because that's what I always choose. Nice. Great. So we're starting off in a nice position. The next one is we have to style the slideshow itself. So the slideshow now, I want it to be display flex. And it's not really going to matter because the slides are going to be positioned absolutely. So it's not going to affect it too much. But I do want to set the position of this to relative. And that's so that the slides are using this as a base rather than the body itself. So the width, I'm going to set it to 100 view width, or actually to start, we're going to set it to 300 pixels. This just helps visualize it. It's a lot easier to see. And then the height is going to be 200 pixels. And so that you could see a background of pale goldenrod. I always choose these colors. Super weird. All right, there we go. So the button's looking weird, but we'll correct that. Awesome. Now for the slide. For the slide, we are going to go ahead. Oh, we're going to go ahead and position it absolutely. Position absolute. We also want it to have a width of 300 pixels. So we want it to cover the entire space of the slideshow. And then the height of 200 pixels. So when we get to the end, we're going to switch that in order for it to cover the entire view width and view height. But for now, we're just going to keep it at this shrunken size. So now all of them you could see are lining up here because they're positioned absolutely and their height and width are the exact same. And we're not going to put, we're not going to change the display yet. Currently, we could set it to none and they'll disappear, and that's what we're going to have to start. But for right now, we'll set it to flex so that we can see all of them. Next thing is we want the Z index. This is just making sure that we declare it as 1 for the base. And then the font size, let's get this a bit bigger, 100 pixels. There we go. Yeah, and we want to align it. Align items, so align the text center and justify the content to the center. Oh, we're making pretty good progress. We'll come back and we'll style it a little bit, but let's keep it moving. Let's give each of these slides, you know, some uniqueness. Nth of type. We're gonna give each of them a different background color so we could identify them easily. So we're going to go ahead and say background, and I already decided which ones we're going to try and match this as much as possible, so I have the colors. So let's go ahead and say RGB, no A, we're not messing with the alpha. First one is 0, 175, 175, get a nice teal going. Beautiful. Copy this out and we'll just make 4 copies, and 4, 3, 2, and 1. The next one I want is I'm gonna go with a reddish kind of color, 255, 100, and 100. Next one after that is a, what is this? A blue. 100 for the green value and 220 for the blue value. And the last one is going to be an orangey gold, 255, 200, and 100. So right now you see the last color first, and that's because in the HTML, it's the last item. So it's going to be placed over top all the others. All right, so let's keep on going. Now, we're going to have a class called ActiveSlide, but we'll leave that alone for now. We'll just put something like display flex. And then we're also going to have a class called previous slide. And for that one, we will also just put, just to fill it in, display flex. All right, and the other thing we need, and this one we could set right now, excuse me, is the dot container. Right, the container that's going to hold all of our dots that represent the slides. So we're going to say position absolute. We are also going to give it an index, z index of, I'm just giving it 11, but it could really be anything as long as it is positioned above all of the slides. So z index 11, and since it's already positioned absolute, let's just give it a background color so that it's visible. We'll say background black. Oh, I don't see it. Well, I don't see it because I have not given it a width or a height yet. So width, we'll say 100 pixels, and then the height is going to be 20. Boom, there you are. Nice. And so I want to position this at the bottom 5 pixels, maybe. And then the, where is it positioned? Where exactly is it positioned? I'm not sure. Well, it should already be adjusting. Let's look at the slideshow. And that's why. There's display flex, but I haven't actually set anything for it. Let's go ahead and set that. Justify content to be in the center. And there we go. Now it's appeared in the center. Beautiful. The last thing that I want to do with this for now is I'm going to go ahead and set its display to flex, and I'm going to align the items inside because it's going to be holding the dots. So justify content, again center, and align items center. I could probably create a class that will have these values since I use them pretty often, but for now I'm not gonna touch on that. We're just going to manually insert it. Next step is the actual dots themselves. So the dots, we're going to give them a width of 10 pixels and a height of 10 pixels. And we are going to give them a background of RGB a 255, 255, 255, and 0.5. That's white with an opacity of 0.5. And then we also want to give it some margin of, let's say, 3 pixels. Nice. So I want them to be circular because that's what we have in the other one. Border radius, we'll say 50%. Always keep them completely smooth. There you go. So we're getting somewhere. Oh, I forgot here. I want these guys to also have this guy to also have a border radius, the container. Border radius, and that value is going to be about 10 pixels. Beautiful. Okay, so we're making really good progress here. So that's sitting on top of everything, and then you're going to be able to click them, and yeah, then the arrow, the buttons, we have to address those too. We'll get there. And then when I hover over a dot, I also want it to have a certain appearance. So I want the cursor to be a pointer, and then I also want the background to go completely white. So the color of them to go from 0.5 to be completely white. Beautiful. Nice. And the last one, at least for the dot, is that there's going to be, just like with the slide, there's going to be a dot active. And that's basically, it's just going to be highlighted while that slide is actually the one that's there, so that the user can identify where they are in the slideshow sequence. And so for that, I just want to set that the background is RGBA 255, 255, 255, and then 0.9. I could just put it to fully, but yeah, I like it better at 0.9. Yeah, and no, that works well, I think. Okay, so we got the dots. Last part that we need to style for the basic is the arrow button. So arrow button, we're going to say their position is absolute. The Z index, we want it to be just like with the dot container. We want it to be above above all the slides. So we're going to say 11. And then we are going to have a background of RGBA 0. We want it to be kind of black. Nice. We want to remove the border, and we also want to remove the outline. I've heard some stuff about removing the outline affecting the accessibility for elements, but I'm not sure. I haven't looked into it. It has to relate to Ali, accessibility, but I'm not that familiar with it, so definitely look into that. I can't give you that answer, or leave a comment below. Much appreciated. And the color, we are going to set it to, it's basically, we're basically trying to keep it consistent. So just like with the dots, we'll set the color to 0.5 and make it white. And then we will also go ahead and set the font size to 20 pixels. We'll make it just big enough, and the font weight to bold. Nice. Lastly, we haven't even positioned them yet, so this is just for the arrow button. We also want to give it a hover in which the color just changes a little bit. And once again, let's take this guy, and we're just going to be adjusting the alpha value. And we're going to go ahead and put this to, let's put it to 0.9 again. So let's see. Nice. And I hover, and that should actually be, that should go there, realistically. Then when you hover, it does that. All right, cool. So we got that. Let's now position them. So left arrow. Left arrow. We're going to go ahead and say that for the left arrow, we want it to be left 0. And then for the right arrow, we want it to be right at 0. Nice. So why isn't this filling in properly? Let's go ahead and look at this. If I go up to the slideshow, because it should align immediately just to be right there in the middle. What am I missing here? Justify content center. I see. So I haven't done align items. Boom. Now it goes right in the middle. Perfect. It's a little tight right now, but once it becomes the full screen, it'll work perfect. So I'm going to click there, or one of these, and then I'll get the slides that I want. Nice. So we're off to a pretty good start. We do have to come back and make some adjustments and add some animations to get the same effect, but for now we can move on to the JavaScript.